My name is Savannah Brooks. I'm 28 years old, and the night my father threw my life onto the lawn, I had just come home after a 12-hour shift trying to keep a burned Labrador alive. My hands still smelled like antiseptic. My clothes still carried that mix of wet fur and stress. I remember sitting in my car for a second, just breathing, because when you spend all day saving something that can't even say thank you, you come home hoping at least your own place feels quiet, safe. But the second I turned into the driveway, I knew something was wrong. At first, I thought someone had broken in because my duffel bag was lying open in the grass. Half my scrubs were hanging out of it, dragging in the dirt. A lamp I kept next to my bed, shattered, my winter coat thrown into the flower bed like trash, and a box of my childhood photos upside down. Like it didn't matter what was inside. Like I didn't matter. I stepped out of the car slowly, didn't slam the door, didn't call out because something in my chest had already started tightening. And then I saw him, my father, standing under the porch light, holding his phone up, recording me, actually recording me, like this was a show, like humiliating his own daughter was something people should watch. Behind him, my mother stood with her arms crossed, tight, still, silent, and next to her, my sister, smiling, not nervous, not confused, smiling, like this was entertainment. Then she nudged one of my storage bins with her foot, just a small push, but it was enough. A stack of framed certificates slid out, scraped across the driveway, and one by one, fell into the street. I didn't move. I just watched them. All those years, late nights, early mornings, every small thing I had worked for, scattered like it meant nothing. "You're 28, my father shouted, loud enough for the neighbors to hear. "You suck us dry like a damn parasite. I want you out, tonight." Across the street, people were sitting outside, talking, watching, pretending not to stare, but they didn't miss a second. I could feel it, all of it, the eyes, the silence, the judgment, and then I looked at the phone in his hand, pointed straight at my face, and I smiled, not because I was okay, but because something inside me had just shut off. Have you ever been called a burden by the people who raised you? Not in private, not in anger behind closed doors, but out loud, like a performance? Because in that moment, I stopped feeling like their daughter. I didn't cry. I didn't argue. I didn't give them what they wanted. Instead, I walked onto that lawn, and I picked up my things, one by one, slow, quiet, no shaking hands, no tears, just silence. My father kept talking, kept yelling, saying things I had heard before, just louder this time. My sister laughed once, just once, but it was enough. My mother didn't say anything, not a single word, and somehow that hurt more than everything else, because silence can agree with cruelty. When I finished picking everything up, I carried the last bag to my car. Then I walked back to them, all three of them, standing there like nothing was wrong, like I was the problem. I looked at my father first, then my mother, then my sister, and I said, very calmly, "Hope you all sleep well tonight." I paused, because for the first time, they were the ones waiting. Because one day, I continued, none of you will. No yelling, no emotion, just truth. Then I turned around, got into my car, and drove away. No plan, no destination, just away. Before I tell you what happened next, tell me something. What time is it for you right now? And where are you watching this from? I always wonder how far stories like this travel. I didn't go to a friend's house, didn't call anyone, didn't even cry. I just drove 3 exits down the highway and stopped behind a 24-hour gas station. Engine still running, lights off. That's when I noticed it. My phone, still recording. A voice memo. I must have started it by accident while grabbing my bag. For a second, I just stared at it. Then I pressed play, and there it was, my father's voice, loud, sharp, calling me a burden. My sister laughing, clear as day. And then, my mother, soft, calm. Just let her go, Richard. She did this to herself. I didn't react, didn't stop it. I listened, once, then again, then again. Not because I enjoyed it, because I needed to hear it clearly. Every word, every tone. Because families like mine have a way of rewriting things. By morning, it would become, it was a misunderstanding. By next week, she overreacted. By the holidays, she left for no reason. But this didn't lie, and I wasn't going to let them change it. That night, I checked into a cheap extended stay motel, the kind where the hallway smells like old carpet, and the lights flicker if you leave them on too long. I sat on the edge of the bed, ate 2 granola bars from a vending machine, and made one decision. I wasn't going back. Not tomorrow. Not next week. Not when they calm down. Never. Around 1:30 in the morning, my phone lit up. 6 missed calls. Then more. Then messages. My father, where are you? My mother, you're acting unstable. My sister, lol, have fun paying for your own life now. I read every message. Didn't reply to a single one. Instead, I took screenshots. All of them. Saved them in one folder. And named it, When They Start Lying. Maybe that sounds petty, but when people humiliate you in public, proof isn't petty. It's protection. And that night, for the first time in years, I didn't feel small. I felt done. The next morning, I didn't wake up feeling strong. I didn't wake up feeling frong. I didn't wake up feeling free either. I woke up confused. confused, like my body hadn't caught up to what my life had just become. For a few seconds, I forgot where I was. Then the flickering motel light came into focus. The thin blanket, the cheap carpet, the silence. Real silence. No footsteps in the hallway, no cabinet slamming, no voices calling my name. And that's when it hit me. I wasn't there anymore. I sat up slowly, looked around the room, and realized something strange. Nothing felt familiar, but nothing felt heavy either. Have you ever noticed that? Sometimes losing everything doesn't feel like loss right away. Sometimes it just feels quiet. My phone was still on the nightstand, face down. I already knew what was on it. More messages, more calls, more noise. But I didn't touch it, not yet. Instead, I walked to the bathroom, turned on the sink, cold water, and just stood there, hands under the tap, staring at nothing. Because for the first time in years, no one needed anything from me. No one was waiting. No one was watching. No one was judging. Just me. And that should have felt scary. But it didn't. It felt clear. Around 8 a.m., I finally picked up my phone. 27 messages. 3 voicemails. Same pattern. My father demanding answers. My mother saying I was overreacting. My sister making jokes like it was all still funny to her. I didn't open the voicemails, not yet. Instead, I did something simple. I turned off notifications, all of them. No sound, no vibration, just silence. And in that silence, I made my first real move. I called the only person I trusted to tell me the truth, even if I didn't like it. Noah Carter, a paramedic I met 2 years ago. We weren't best friends. We didn't talk every day. But he was the kind of person who didn't lie to make you feel better. He picked up on the second ring. No hello, no small talk. Just tell me exactly what happened. And something about that made it easier to speak. So I told him everything. From the driveway, to the lawn, to the phone in my father's hand. Every word, every detail. I didn't protect them, not this time. When I finished, there was a short silence. Not awkward, just thinking. Then he asked one question. If they call you tonight crying, would you go back? I looked at the motel curtain, thin, faded, barely blocking the sunlight, and the answer came out faster than I expected. No, no hesitation, no doubt, just no. He exhaled once, then said, good, then stop acting like this is something you're going to fix. That sentence hit harder than everything else, because I hadn't realized it yet, but a part of me still thought this was temporary, still thought I would go back, still thought I had to. But he said it clearly. This wasn't a fight, this wasn't a misunderstanding, this was a system I had finally walked out of. After the call ended, I sat there for a while, just thinking about how many times I had fixed things before, smoothed things over, took the blame, stayed quiet, made things easier, and for what? To end up on the lawn? That same morning, I went down to the motel lobby. There was a small table, a coffee machine that smelled burnt, and a window facing the parking lot. I sat there with a paper cup in my hands and opened my phone gallery. Thousands of photos, birthdays, holidays, family dinners, smiles, so many smiles. But when I looked closer, they didn't feel real anymore. They felt forced, like I had been trying to prove something to them, to myself. One by one, I started deleting them. Not fast, not emotional, just steady, picture by picture. Not because I hated those moments, but because I was done pretending they were what they looked like. Have you ever looked at a memory and realized it wasn't what you thought it was? That's what this felt like. Letting go of something that was never really there. After that, I opened a new tab and I started searching rooms for rent, extra shifts, training programs, because there was something I had been avoiding for 3 years, something I told myself I wasn't ready for, something my father used to laugh about. He would say, serious careers are for people who actually finish what they start. I used to believe him. A little, not fully, but enough to hold myself back. But sitting there in that cheap motel with nothing left to protect, I realized something. They didn't throw me out because I was weak. They threw me out because I had stopped being useful in the way they wanted. That thought stayed with me, followed me through the rest of the day, because it changed everything. It meant this wasn't about me failing them. It was about me no longer fitting into their system. And once you see that, you can't unsee it. By the afternoon, I went back to work. Same hospital, same chaos, same pressure, but something felt different, lighter. A dog came in, hit by a car, blood everywhere, people moving fast. Voices sharp, and I didn't panic. My hands were steady. My mind was clear, like all the noise in my personal life had finally gone quiet. And now I could hear myself think. At the end of my shift, my supervisor stopped me, Dr. Elaine Mercier. She looked at me for a second, then said, Savannah, you're already doing the work of someone in our surgical track. I blinked. Didn't expect that. Why haven't you applied? She asked. I almost laughed. Not because it was funny, because I didn't know how to explain it. How do you tell someone that you come from a house where growing feels like betrayal, where success makes people uncomfortable, where being better makes you the problem? So I gave her the easiest answer, bad timing. She didn't look convinced. Then maybe, she she said calmly. It's finally good timing. That stayed with me. All the way back to the motel. Because for the first time, later didn't exist anymore. There was no safety net, no backup plan, no going back, just forward. That evening, I met Noah at a small diner near the highway. Nothing fancy, just coffee and noise. He didn't waste time. He slid a yellow notepad across the table, 3 words written on it: housing, certification, boundaries. That's it, he said. That's your life right now. No, fix your family. No, hear them out. No, give it time. Just build something and protect it. Then he looked at me and asked, let's say your dad calls crying. Your mom says she's worried. Your sister says everything is falling apart. He paused. What do? I stirred my coffee slowly, watched the liquid spin. Then I said, I let it fall apart. He nodded once, like that was the only right answer. And for the first time, it didn't feel wrong. That night, I made real decisions. I applied for the surgical certification program. No overthinking, no waiting, just done. Then I found a room for rent, small, above a mechanic's garage, owned by an older woman named Mrs. Delaney. She didn't ask too many questions, just, do you smoke? Do you have pets? That was it. No judgment, no pressure. It felt respectful. And then I did something small, but it changed everything. I opened my contacts, went to emergency contact, and I changed it. From my mother to Noah. One tap, that's all it took. But it felt like cutting a wire that had been wrapped around me for years, because emergency contacts aren't just about emergencies. They're about who you trust when everything goes wrong. And for the first time, it wasn't them. Meanwhile, the messages from home started changing. Not nicer, just different. My father stopped yelling. Now he was asking, where's the car paperwork? My mother, did you move anything important? My sister, do you still have the login for the utility account? No one asked if I was okay. No one asked where I was. Just problems, just inconvenience. And that's when it hit me. My absence didn't create pain in that house first. It created work, because I had been the one doing everything. The groceries, the bills, the appointments, the small things no one notices until they stop getting done. I wasn't a burden. I was holding everything together. And the second I disappeared, everything started breaking. By day 3, I had exactly 3 things figured out. A weekly rate at the motel, 2 extra overnight shifts at the hospital, and $341 left. That number should have scared me. Honestly, it should have terrified me, but it didn't. Because for the first time in years, everything was quiet. No one knocking on my door asking for something. No one tracking what I was doing. No one calling me selfish for spending my own money while someone else used mine without asking. Just silence and control. At work, things made sense. Chaos made sense. Pain made sense. Even loss made sense. Because there, everything had a reason, a purpose, a direction. A German Shepherd came in around 2 a.m., hit by a car. Severe internal bleeding. Hit by a car. Severe internal bleeding. The kind of case where everything moves fast and one mistake can cost a life. And I didn't freeze. I didn't panic. My hands moved on their own, steady, focused, clear, like this was where I was supposed to be, like this was the one place in my life where I wasn't too much or not enough. I was exactly what was needed. After the shift, Dr. Mercer stopped me again. Same calm voice, same steady look. Savannah, she said, you're already performing at surgical level. I didn't respond right away because hearing that felt strange, like it didn't belong to me. Your application, she continued, if you submit it now, you have a strong chance. Strong chance. Not maybe. Not someday. Now. And for a second, I felt that old hesitation, that voice in my head, the one that sounded like my father. You don't finish things. You're not serious. You'll quit halfway. But this time, something was different. That voice didn't feel true anymore. It just felt familiar. And there's a difference. So I looked at her and said, I already applied. She smiled. Not big, just enough. Good, she said, and walked away. That was it. No big moment, no dramatic reaction. But something shifted inside me, because for the first time, I didn't need permission to move forward. Later that day, I met Noah again. Same diner, same table, different feeling. This time I wasn't overwhelmed, I was focused. I applied, I told him. He nodded like he already expected it. Good, he said. Then he leaned back and asked, what's your plan if they show up? I paused, because I hadn't thought that far. Not really. They won't? I said. But even as I said it, I knew that wasn't true. People who lose control don't just let it go, they push harder. They will, he said calmly. And when they do, you need to know who you are before they tell you who you are. That sentence stayed with me all day, all night, because that's what they had always done, defined me. Lazy, difficult, unstable, ungrateful. And if you hear something long enough, you start to question yourself, even when it's not true. That night, back at the motel, I packed my things. Not because I had somewhere better yet, but because I knew this was temporary. 2 bags. That's all I really had: clothes, a few essentials, and the rest, stuff I didn't need anymore. It felt strange how quickly a life can shrink when you stop holding on to things that don't matter. The next morning, I moved into the new place, Mrs. Delaney's garage apartment. It wasn't big. One small room, a mattress on the floor, a folding chair, a tiny window that let in just enough light. The place smelled like wood and old paint, but it was clean, quiet, and mine. Mrs. Delaney handed me the key. Didn't ask questions, didn't pry, just said, "Rent's due every Friday, don't worry about anything else." That was it. No judgment, no pressure, no history, and that alone felt like freedom. That first night, I sat on the floor, takeout container in my lap. No TV, no background noise, just silence. Not the heavy kind, not the kind that comes before an argument, real silence. The kind that lets your mind rest. Then my phone buzzed. My father. This little stunt has gone far enough. A minute later, my sister, "Dad's mad because you didn't remind Mom about the car insurance. Now there's a late fee." I stared at the message for a second. Then I laughed. Actually laughed because it was so predictable. The same people who threw my life into the yard were now upset because I wasn't managing their responsibilities anymore. And for the first time, I didn't feel angry. I felt detached, like I was watching something from the outside. Have you ever noticed that? The moment you stop reacting, people lose their script. They don't know what to do because they're used to controlling the outcome. That night, I didn't reply. Not one message, not one word. And that silence started doing something I didn't expect. It started creating pressure. Not for me, for them. Days 6 through 10, that's when things started cracking. I didn't see it directly, but I heard about it from Mrs. Delaney, from small comments, from the way people talked. On day 6, she knocked on my door with a plate of food, then said casually, "Your father was outside shouting this morning." I looked up. "What?" "Loud," she added. "Loud enough for 3 houses." I didn't say anything. So she continued, "Men only get that loud when the audience they wanted didn't clap." I almost smiled, not because it was funny, because it was accurate. Later that night, my sister sent a long message. Started with, "You're unbelievable." Ended with, "Mom cried at the store today." I read it. Didn't reply. Day 7, Noah called me after his shift. "I had a call near your old street," he said. My chest tightened a little. Not fear, just curiosity. "Your dad was arguing with a cable guy," he continued. Something about a password. Again, not sadness, not regret, just problems. Work. Day 8, my mother called from an unknown number. Left a voicemail. I didn't pick up. Didn't call back. Later, I listened to it. She was crying, but not in a way that felt real. It felt directed, like she was trying to pull me back in. She said I was embarrassing the family, that I was causing stress, that I was turning my father into someone she didn't recognize. That part almost made me laugh, because he hadn't changed, not even a little. The only difference now was that I wasn't there to absorb it anymore. And when there's no one left to absorb it, people start feeling the full weight of themselves. Then day 9 came, and something shifted. I got a message from an old coworker. "Hey, not sure if I should say this, but people are talking." I read it twice, then kept going. "Your dad showed that video to someone at work." My stomach dropped, not from fear, from understanding. He wanted validation. He wanted people to agree with him, to laugh, to support him. But that's not what happened. It's not going how he expected. The message continued. "People think it makes them look cruel." I sat there reading that line again. Cruel. Not strict, not justified. Cruel. And for the first time, the story was no longer under his control, because once other people see it, they decide what it means, not you. That night, my phone exploded. Messages, calls, notifications. "My father, where are you? Answer me right now." My sister, "Dad's freaking out." My mother, "This needs to stop. Call me immediately." Then one message, different from the rest, from my sister. "He can't sleep." I stared at that one for a long time, not feeling sorry, not feeling guilty, just remembering. The porch light, his face, the calm way he told me to leave. Men like him always think consequences are for other people. They think they can explode, and everything will be fine by morning. But it doesn't work like that, because when reality comes back, it doesn't knock. It hits, and it hits hard. And the next day, everything started changing. The next afternoon, I was at work. We had a golden retriever on the table. Emergency surgery. Something had ruptured inside. Everything was moving fast. Monitors beeping, voices sharp, no room for mistakes. And right in the middle of all that, Dr. Mercer pulled me aside. "Savannah," she said quietly, "your application was accepted." For a second, everything around me went silent. Not actually silent, but it felt like it, like the noise couldn't reach me anymore. She kept talking. "The hospital is willing to sponsor most of your certification, but you have to commit to the full surgical track." I should have cried. I should have broken down, but I didn't, because what I felt wasn't relief. It was something deeper, something steady. Validation. The same week my father was losing control because I stopped managing his life, I was stepping into the career he always said I wasn't serious enough for. "Do you accept?" she asked. "Yes," I said. No pause, no hesitation, just yes. She smiled. "You belong here, Savannah." That sentence stayed with me because at home, belonging meant shrinking, staying quiet, making things easier for everyone else. But here, belonging meant growing. And for the first time, I wasn't afraid of that. That night, I sat on my mattress, phone in my hand, and I listened to the voicemails I had been avoiding. All of them, one by one. My father's voice wasn't loud anymore. It sounded tired, frustrated, but not powerful. My mother sounded panicked, like things were slipping out of control. And my sister, she sounded scared, not deeply, not in a real way, in a selfish way, like someone realizing the system protecting them was breaking. Later that evening, Mrs. Delaney knocked on my door. She didn't come in, just stood there. "Heard another argument today," she said. I waited. "Your father was blaming your sister for what happened on the lawn." I blinked. "What?" she yelled back. Mrs. Delaney continued. "Said he was the one recording." I leaned against the door frame, silent. Then she added, "Your mother was crying, saying they all needed you to fix this." Fix it. That word stayed in my head. Fix it. Have you ever noticed something? When a family breaks, they don't ask who caused it. They ask, who's going to fix it? And if you've been the one holding everything together, they don't see you as a person. They see you as the solution. That's when it became clear, completely clear. I wasn't the reason that house was falling apart. I was the reason it stayed together for so long. And now that I was gone, they were finally feeling each other, without a buffer, without someone absorbing the damage. 10 days after I left, my father called again. This time, I answered. Not because I missed him, not because I softened, because I wanted to hear the truth in his own voice. I was sitting in the hospital break room, eating crackers. Before I picked up, I hit record. Then I answered. "What?" No hello, no emotion, just distance. "Where the hell are you?" he snapped. "At work. Don't get smart with me." Same tone, same control, like nothing had changed, like throwing me out was just discipline. He kept talking, complaining about everything. My mother stressed, my sister difficult, bills late, neighbors talking. Then he said it. "You disappearing like this is selfish. The family is already under pressure." I didn't interrupt. I let him talk, let him build his case, let him say everything. And then he said the one thing that mattered. "If you don't come home and help fix this, I'll make sure everyone knows what kind of daughter you are." I leaned back and I smiled because there it was. Not concern, not regret, reputation, control, fear, disguised as family. "You mean tell people you threw your daughter's things onto the lawn while recording it?" I asked calmly. Silence. Complete silence. "Go ahead," I added. Another silence. Shorter, heavier. "You think you're tough now?" he said finally. "Someone's been filling your head." "No," I said. "I'm finally hearing my own thoughts." His voice started rising again. That old pattern. Louder, sharper. But this time, I didn't let him. "And just so you know," I said, cutting him off, "I recorded this call." The silence after that was different. Not angry, not loud, just empty. Then the line went dead. He hung up. I sat there for a second. Then I laughed. Not because it was funny, because I finally saw it. The pattern, the control, the way it worked, and how it didn't anymore. I saved the recording, put it next to the first one. Then I stood up and went back to work, like my life wasn't shifting in real time. That same evening, Dr. Mercer confirmed everything officially. My position, my training, my raise. It was real. I wasn't just surviving anymore. I was building something. When I got home, Mrs. Delaney was outside, watering her plants. She looked up. "Your father came by." My stomach dropped. "What?" "Didn't let him in," she said calmly. "Told him if he wanted to yell, he could do it out on the street." I almost smiled. Then she handed me a piece of paper. "He left his number, like I didn't already have it." Then she added, "People are talking, and not in his favor." I didn't respond. So she continued, "Men who throw their daughter's life onto a lawn don't recover the way they think they will." That night, my sister texted, "What did you say to him?" "He's acting crazy." I didn't reply. Then another message, "Mom says this has gone too far." "That one," I answered. "It went too far the night he threw my life onto the lawn." She read it instantly. No reply. And that's when it hit me. For the first time, they weren't ignoring what happened. They were reacting to it, not because they suddenly cared, but because the consequences had reached them. Have you ever noticed that? People only respect your silence when they realize they can't control your voice anymore. 2 days later, he showed up in person, not at the old house, not at the motel, outside my new place. Just after sunset, when everything gets quiet enough for people to hear, I saw his truck first. Then the knock. Hard, sharp, familiar. My body reacted instantly, shoulders tight, heart racing, that old fear, waking up again. But this time, I didn't freeze. I walked to the door, opened it slightly, chain still locked, and there he was, Richard Brooks. He looked different, not broken, not sorry, just worn down, eyes red, jaw tight, still wearing his work jacket. "We need to talk," he said. "We're talking," I replied. He looked past me, into the apartment, took in everything, the small space, the simple setup. I could see the judgment, but it didn't land anymore. "Because this was mine. Your mother's a mess," he said. "Your sister's crying every day. This has gone on long enough." I stayed quiet, he kept going. "I was angry that night, I didn't think." "That's the problem," I cut in. "You didn't think." He stopped, just for a second. Then his tone changed, softer, like he was trying something new. "Savannah, I just wanted you to stand on your own feet." I almost laughed. The way people rewrite things, like the damage was a lesson. "I am on my own feet," I said calmly. "That's what bothers you." For a moment, he looked confused, like he didn't recognize me. And maybe he didn't, because control only works when you still need approval. The second you stop needing it, there's nothing left to pull. He stepped closer, lowered his voice. "You're making me look like a monster. Not I hurt you. Not I was wrong. Just you're making me look bad." I laughed, right there. "I'm not making you look like anything," I said. "You did that yourself." His face turned red. "After everything we've done for you." I cut him off. "No," I said. "After everything I did for you." He went silent. Didn't expect that, so I kept going. "Who handled the bills? The groceries? Mom's medications? The dog? The appointments? Who?" He didn't answer, because he couldn't, and the silence between us said everything. Then he said something quiet, cold. "Families don't survive daughters like you." I looked at him, really looked. Maybe he meant daughters who don't obey, who don't stay small, who stop pretending. I don't know. But I opened the door a little wider, met his eyes, and said, "Then maybe the family you built shouldn't survive." He flinched, actually flinched. Behind him, a light turned on across the street. Someone watching. Good, let them. He tried one last move, reached his hand toward me. That old instinct. Control through closeness. But I stepped back. "Leave," I said. "Savannah, leave." Before I played the recording, loud enough for everyone out here to hear. That was it. That ended it. He stared at me, like I was someone else, then turned, walked to his truck, and drove away. Too fast, too angry. The moment he disappeared, my body reacted, my hands shook, my knees felt weak. That delayed impact. But I didn't cry. I locked the door, leaned against it, closed my eyes, and just breathed, slow, steady, until it passed.